everyone, welcome to True Crime and Tarot. I am Natalie and today's case is a big case for some of you that may know and some of you that may don't know. Sit back, relax and enjoy this case. It is a long depth case. I've got a lot of information from the online resources and also I've done the tarot side to it myself. I've gone in some deep depth within a few readings of that, so there is 4 big questions I've asked and a lot of information have come out on that. Just a disclaimer then, I do not tolerate any hate, anyone criticising anyone that's in this case. Just positive comments please, otherwise you will be stricken off this channel. I mean no disrespect to anyone in this case either, but if I do say some names incorrect, I do apologise beforehand. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into this case and go from there. Okay then, so this is the case of Asha Jaquilla Degree. So she was born on August the 5th, 1990. She went missing at the age of 9 from Shelby, North Carolina in the United States. In the early morning hours of February the 14th, 2000, for reasons unknown, she packed her book bag, she left her family home, and it was the north of the city, and she began walking along the nearby North Carolina Highway 18 despite heavy rain and wind on this night. Several passing motorists saw her when one turned around at a point which was 1.3 miles, which is 2.1 kilometers away from her home, and began to approach her as she left the roadside and ran into the wooded area. And this wooded area was not far from the road. So with that, she had run away because this person came up to her, and so she thought stranger danger, as you know most people would, most children would. She darted and she went straight into the wooded area which she was last seen at that time. So in the morning her parents discovered her absence. No one had seen her since. So her parents are Harold Degree and Jakila Degree. An intensive search that began that day led to the location of some personal effects near where she was last seen. A year and a half later, her book bag still packed was unearthed from a construction site, which was along the Highway 18 north of Shelby in Morganton. At the point where she ran into the woods, the billboard now stands appealing for help to finding her. Her family hosts the annual walk from their home at the billboard to draw attention to her case. While the circumstances of Degree's disappearance at first seemed to suggest that she was running away from her home, investigations could not find a clear reason to why she might have done so and run off and run away from her home. So there was no alarm bells ringing or anything of that nature. There was no pinpoint as to why she decided to get up in the middle of the night and just get her book bag ready and put her clothes and everything that she wanted in there and just to run away. It was just no incline as to what was the reasons behind it. So she was younger than most children who done so. They have speculated that she might have been abducted instead. So the case has drawn national attention. In 2015, the Federal Bureau of Investigation joined the state and the county authorities in a reopening investigation of her case. They are offering a reward for information to help us solve this case. Harold and Jakila Degree was married on Valentine's Day in 1988, and their son O'Brien was born a year later. Asha was born in 1990. The Degrees raised both children in their house on Oakcrest Drive and in a very residential subdivision amidst a generally rural area. North of Shelby, North Carolina, on the western edge of Charlotte on the western sorry, I apologise, western edge of Charlotte metropolitan area. And both worked regularly nearby jobs, and the children themselves would let them in to their own homes after they left school. So where the parents had expected that they would either be doing their own work or finished with it by the time that they returned. So they'd expect like their children would be at home, either finish their own work or just doing their own work like they regularly do. They made sure that their children was isolated from the outside influences and had a life centred around their extended family, which is the church and the school. The Degrees then did not have a computer back then in their house. Every time you turned the TV on, there was some paedophile that lured somebody's child away via the internet. This was Jakila recalled in 2013. This was the quote she had said why they wouldn't have a computer or any internet in their house. Also, Asha handled this very well. She was very cautious, she was shy, she was very content, well-mannered, mostly to stay within the limits, and her parents had set like a deadline and the limits to where she can and can't go. So she was very scared to death of dogs, that she recalled years later. Quote, I never thought she would go out of the house. Asha was the 4th grade at nearby Falston Elementary School, going into a 3-day weekend on the 2nd week of February 2000. The Cleveland County schools were closed on Friday, February the 11th, while Degre still had to work. The children spent the day at their aunt's house in the same neighbourhood from which they went to their youth basketball practices at their school. The following day, Asha's basketball team, on which she was a star-pointed guard, had lost its first game in the season. So it had been a foul, it had been a failure. So her parents recalled that she was somewhat upset, you know, she cried a lot. And along that, she was crying with her teammates and her friends as well, you know, being very gutted and devastated, you know, for the first time losing on this team. So afterwards that, then she seemed to have gotten over it a little bit better. She feels a bit alright in herself, and watched her brother's game then next, because there was her brother's game that was after her. She was the first, and then the second then was her brother's game. So she sat and watched her brothers playing next. And on February the 13th, the Sunday, the children went to church from a relative's house and then returned home around 8 p.m. And that night, both children went to bed in the room they shared, because they like to share in a room. Back then, that's what they had to do. And almost an hour later, the power went out in the neighbourhood after a nearby car accident had happened. The power came back on then at 12:30 a.m, at which time Harold checked in on the 2 children and saw them both fast asleep in their beds. He checked them again then shortly before he went to bed, which was roughly around 2:30 a.m. on February the 14th, and again saw them both shortly afterwards. And O'Brien, then aged 10, recalls hearing Asha's bed squeak, and he just assumed that she was just changing positions in her sleep. Apparently around this time then, Asha got out of bed, taking a book bag that she previously packed with several sets of clothes, personal items, and left the house between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m. A truck driver then and a motorist saw her walking along the Highway 18 wearing a long sleeve white t-shirt and white pants just the north of the junction. There was reports then, the police, after seeing the TV report about her disappearance, that the motorist said that he turned around and turned in his car, and because he thought it was very strange, you know, such a small child on the side of a roadside just walking at that time in the morning. Very, very odd, you know, especially being on her own and being with herself like at that hour. So he circled 3 times and saw Gregory run into the woods by the roadside and disappeared. It was a very rainy night, and the witness said there was a storm that was raging that night, early into the morning. When he saw her, the county sheriff, Dan Crawford, said then, quote, "We're pretty sure it was her because the description they gave was very consistent with what we know that she was wearing at the time," end quote. He added then that they were also the same place, heading in the same direction as well. Jakila then woke around 5:45 a.m. then to get the children ready for school on the morning of February the 14th. And this was a very important day of February 14th, because this was Valentine's Day and this was an anniversary of her and her husband's wedding day as well. So it's their wedding anniversary. This is also involved in drawing a bath for them because they couldn't have one the night before due to the power cut. And then this is when she went in the children's room then to wake up the children before it turned 6:30 alarm, and called them then to bath. O'Brien was in his bed and Asha was not there. And this is when Jakila then, Asha's mum, had said that they was unable to find her in the house. She checked all in the family cars, no sighting of her. She told Harold that she could not find their daughter, so he suggested that Asha might have gone over to his mother's house across the street at this time. And when Jakila called there, her sister-in-law said Asha was not there. Quote, "That's when I went into a panic mode," she said. "I heard a car next door. I put shoes on and I ran outside," end quote. Jakila called her mother then, who told her to call the police straight away. By 6:40 a.m. then, the first police officers had arrived on the scene. Police dogs called to the scene could not pick up on Asha's scent. Jakila then went through the neighbourhood calling Asha's name, which was said to woken everyone up by 7 a.m. So friends, family, neighbours all cancelled their plans for the day to assist the police in searching for the in the vicinity where everyone was, while the pastor of the church, along with other clergymen, came up to the Gregory's home to support them also. By the end of all that then, it had been found was a mitten, which was Jakila. So Gregory said it was not Asha's mitten, it was someone else's, which was very strange. And noting this, there was no winter clothing that had been taken from the house, so Asha didn't take any winter clothes and nothing like that with her. They also then had local news coverage prompted the 2 drivers who had seen Asha walking along the road very early that morning, including the one who attempted to approach her, apparently prompted Asha to flee into the woods. And then to report the sightings to the police later on. On February the 15th then, there was candy wrappers that was found in a shed at a nearby business along the highway near where Asha had been seen running into the woods at that early hours of the morning. Along with them then was a pencil, a marker, a Mickey Mouse shaped hairbow that was identified as to belonging to Asha. They were Asha's belongings. That was confirmed. There was also a photo that was found also of a black girl around Asha's age who hasn't yet been identified, but it was the only trace of her found during the initial search on February the 16th. Jakila realised that Asha's bedroom was missing her favourite clothing, including a pair of blue jeans and a red stripe, and a week later the search was called off after 9,000 man-hours had been invested in a search of the 2 to 3 mile radius, which is 3.2 to 4.8 kilometres. Of where she had last been seen. There also has been flyers that had been posted all over the area, and 300 leads that had been submitted and had ranged from the possible sightings to tips about the abandoned houses and the wells also, which Asha may have ended up. This is a quote then: "We have never really had the first good substantial lead. end quote, said County Sheriff Dan Crawford at the news conference. He urged the media to keep the story alive, and the media attention went national. And this is where a month then after Asha disappeared, the Degri family appeared on the Montel Williams show to call attention to the case also. There was America's Most Wanted and the Oprah Winfrey Show also that was contacted. Asha's book bag was found in a plastic bag near Morganton, about 26 miles north of Shelby. The worker who had found it said that the book bag had contained Asha's name and the phone number. In May 2016, there was an investigation of the case that was a possible new lead that had turned up. They disclosed that Asha may have been seen getting into a dark grey early 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV, or possible a Ford Thunderbird from the same era, along then the Route 18 where she was last seen later that night. And it was described as having rust around the wheel wells. And in November 2020 then, an inmate had come forward named Marcus Mellon, who was convicted of sex crimes against children in 2014, wrote a letter to the Shelby Star claiming that Degri was murdered and he knows where to find her. These claims are under investigation. And 2021, Cleveland County Sheriff Alan Norman announced that Mellon's claims had led to a dead end. And this is where I come into it then, when I decided I want to do a tarot reading on the case, because this is a very well-known case that I think that deserves more answers, needs a lot more search into it. So I thought, let's do a tarot reading and we go from there. And there was quite a lot of things that had come up in these card readings. And these are the 4 questions I asked specifically. 1. What happened to Asha Degri? 2. Who was involved in her disappearance? 3. Where is Asha now? And 4. What is the final outcome to be for Asha's case? Okay, so the first question, what happened to Asha? Reverse 3 of Cups come out. So there was an enemy in disguise, someone who had no friends, who may have been in some type of competitiveness. 7 of Swords. There was an enemy that was plotting and planning, and Asha had run away and was not looking where she was going. There was also some sneakiness that was involved. Reverse 5 of Pentacles. There was someone's health that was getting better or was getting worse, and there was a light at the end of the tunnel, or someone seen a light that was at an end of the tunnel. 4 Swords. There was a lot of overwhelmness and self-protection. There was an illness or hospitalized or dying. Reverse King of Pentacles. There is a man who may have been very unsuccessful, that was a risk taker, a gambler, that was broke and also very corrupted, that was very angry, jealous, possessive, that was involved in some type of animal abuse or neglect or environmental neglect and abuse. Moon card. There was sleep disturbances and relationship issues with a mother figure. There was a lot of worse feelings at night and also a recover from trauma. There may have been some illegal or shady business that was also involved. There was mother issues and someone who was demanding and very manipulative, overly protective with some insecurities as well. There may have been some involvements of an affair or a marital breakdown as well. Hierophant. There was a good role model that may have been religious or traditional that was involved. Reverse 9 of Cups. So there was a cover-up and there was a lot of unhappiness and a lot of devastation. Temperance card. So there was testing the water and getting some type of inner peace as well. And Wheel of Fortune. There was a chance of meeting and it was a success. Reverse Queen of Cups. So there was a female who was very unhappy, that was easily influenced. very manipulative and corrupt, and also had a lot of jealousy about them. Reverse King of Wands, there was a male who was very impulsive, very forceful and controlling, aggressive, hot-tempered, that was very, very vicious. Next question then was, who was involved in Asha Jaquilla's disappearance? Reverse Five of Wands, there was a hot-headed person who was cooperating with someone else, and there was a lot of fears of confrontation. Reverse Ace of Cups, there was someone who was very unhappy that may have had some unrequited love who belongs to someone of Asha. There's depression and also sadness involved. Ace of Swords, there was an accident and a communication and a breakthrough. King of Swords, there's a male who has an authority figure that seeks justice and the truth and legal matters. High Priestess, there's a feminine who is intuitive, that is very distant, that knows secrets and have motives, that also spends her time alone in reflection, and that has spiritual nature. Reverse Four of Pentacles, there was a jealous and controlling and risk-taking person that had a lot of financial issues and loss. Seven of Wands, there was a lot of defensiveness, aggression, challenges and being caught off guard also. Reverse Knight of Pentacles, there was a possessiveness, someone who was taking a break that changed their career. They may be having a lot of ill health and could be someone's ex-partner. Eight of Swords, there was a crisis and someone was being imprisoned or was being imprisoned before the disappearance. There was also restrictions, and a breaking point. Someone was very unfocused that had a lot of fears and they was getting tied up. Reverse Magician, there was a criminal who was very violent that had been a manipulator, very arrogant and had a lot of unfocusedness about them. Reverse Ten of Swords, there was someone who had chronic health issues who needed to pull themselves together, and there was also someone who was unable to survive. Reverse Judgment, there was arguments over a sentencing and a arrest or court order. And then I asked the question next, which is, where is Asha Jaquilla? Reverse Eight of Pentacles, there is no future, there is a shortcut to where Asha is, and there is no growth. Reverse Five of Swords, there was an abuse and there was a major sacrifice. There was shame, humiliation and a burial. Reverse Queen of Swords, there's a female who may have been, where's it by? I lost it now. Who may have been an absent mother or a mother figure that was very obsessive, compulsive, vindictive, malicious, nasty, that likes playing mind games. Knight of Wands, there's a male who had been coming in as a sudden arrival that was a risk taker, very fiery and predictable, could be very adventurous and a party animal also. Knight of Cups, a male had approached Asha. He was very friendly, very supportive and understanding, that may have been religious or spiritual. Reverse Strength, there was a loss of control. There was a coward, someone had something coming out, and there was something to do with animal cruelty involved too. Reverse Three of Pentacles, there's no effort, no motivation, and there was careless work that had happened. Tower, there is a catastrophe, a sudden unexpected happening. There was a crash or something stolen. There's also some hospitalization as well. Six of Wands, success and victory and good news. What is the final outcome to be for Asha Jaquilla's case? Four of Cups, there is a lot of missed opportunities and fantasizing for Asha's return. Reverse Ten of Pentacles, there's to be a family feud. There is a huge loss and illegal business going on, or someone gambling the family money. Six of Pentacles, there's to be some donations, sponsorship and also generosity that's coming in for the case. Reverse Six of Cups. There's someone that may be coming out of rehab or therapy. There is to be secrets and some type of childhood abuse that is going to be revealed also. Reverse Emperor. There is a male that is not taking any responsibility, that is corrupt, aggressive and unpleasant, that things are never their fault. The Sun. There is some success and joy to come. Reverse Three of Wands. There is to be delays and setbacks and cancellations and also regrets. Star card. There is to be some hope and wish and calm after the storm. So that is the Case of Asha Jaquilla, Degree. That is the information I can provide that I have found online from many resources, and that is the tarot card readings I have done for the case as well, to go a bit more in depth. I hope this is going to bring a lot of awareness to Asha's family and family of her friends, and everybody in general. This hope that we can get the awareness out and get some justice for Asha. Love and light from myself to everyone out there, and I see you all again soon. Bye.